to the Influence Factory podcast. This program is dedicated to support professionals who have a desire to develop their digital business influence so they can navigate through a fast-paced, constantly growing digital world. We invite newcomers as well as our family of business influencers to a place to play, share ideas, questions, tips, and guidance with other thought leaders around the globe. Sit back and enjoy our program with our host Dean Delisle as he interviews guests. News and commentary is provided by Cait and Jackson Delisle. Power Move lessons are provided by the Influencer Marketing Department at Social Jack. And production, editing, and distribution is provided by the Social Jack production team.
This week's guest is Vlad Calus, co-founder at Planable and command center of social media collaboration for marketing teams. Planable is used by more than 5,000 brands worldwide, including Mini, BMW, Volkswagen, SkyTeam, Wendy's, and many others. Vlad founded 2 nonprofits at the age of 16, dropped out of college, like myself, moved to another country with 2 friends, built Planable, Techstars London in 2017, and at 19 years old became an honorary Forbes 30 Under 30 at 22 years old, and has been featured as a guest writer and marketer by multiple publications, including Social Media Examiner, Entrepreneur, digital agency, and so many more. So Vlad, welcome from Romania. How you doing?
How are you doing? Good. Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, so many accomplishments at such a young age. And you're at the bright, spry young age of 26 right now, right?
23.
Still 23. Wow, I gave you 3 more years. Look at that. You're so
exactly. Imagine what I did at 23. So what I'm going to do at 26. Wow. I have no idea.
Exactly. So, it's just you. I mean, so what drove you? I mean, was it just like give us a little bit of the circumstances of how you started off in college, and then all of a sudden you're like, "That's not for me. I have to become a business." So take us before that time, maybe your childhood, whatever was part of you that created that sort of energy and idea and plan that. Vlad, you're beyond this.
Definitely. Yeah. So I would say that I started at the age of 16 when I started those nonprofits that you've mentioned. I was really getting involved in a lot of nonprofit organization and different projects for the community and for the people around my age. And I started with participating in those projects, but then I quickly understood that I'm not learning anything new anymore. And when I just start developing my own projects for my own community with the purpose to learn something and then just to do something for the community itself. And then I just ended up in college.
What were some of those projects? What were some of the charities?
Yeah. So right now I still cringe a bit about those projects, but one of my favorite was Academy of Manliness. It was called Academy of Manliness. We were building like a short 6-week academy for boys around 16 and then 19 years old to teach them more about the manly manners, ethics, how to behave, how to dress up as a man, and just to help guys the same age as me to just be better people, be better men, and be better husbands, friends, boyfriends. Wow,
that's great. That sounds like a good program.
Yeah,
like a mentoring program.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah, I was reading a lot of different websites around this topic, including on JQ and many other magazines, and I just felt like I just was feeling that there was a huge need for this, and I ended up just building something for myself. And then it quickly started to grow up for different, we made 5 academies like this for the next 2 years. And then I got into college because my parents pressured me to go into college. I didn't really want to. And then I went in November 2016, 15 at the Startup Week in Moldova competition. So Startup Weekend is just an event where you just pitch your idea and then you end up creating a team. And I ended up being part of the team where there were 2 of my right now co-founders. And we started building the projects right there. And we ended up winning the startup competition. And this quickly grew up in so many things and started to create this avalanche of events, like this chain reaction. And we ended up just creating and starting this company, catering as a team. And we had an opportunity to move to Romania, in Cluj. It's like they call it the Silicon Valley of Eastern Europe. And we moved to Romania to start our own company, the first company. All of us just quit our jobs. I broke up with my girlfriend back then. I quit college and everything else, and I just moved to Romania to start my own company. And here we are right now.
And you're in Bucharest, which is the capital.
Exactly, yes.
We had a good conversation early on where my family is and was, and then where you're at. And then do you currently have family there as well?
No, my family is in Moldova, Republic of Moldova, which is close to Romania.
Northeast, right?
Exactly, yeah. But I'm living here in Bucharest with my current girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so what's the startup tech community like? So there had to have been a reason that you wound up there. Is it just more supportive there? What kind of things are at your disposal that have made it beneficial for you to be there?
Yeah, so we traveled around the world a lot over the past 3 years. When I just moved to Romania, we won a startup competition, and the first prize was a trip to Silicon Valley for 2 weeks.
Wow!
And we actually ended up in San Francisco, not for 2 weeks, but for 2 months. And I had the chance to meet so many extraordinary people. I just can't even express to you how this place changed me. In San Francisco, and then we moved back to Romania. And after that, in 2017, we applied for Techstars London. Techstars is an accelerator program, one of the best opportunities that I've ever had in my life. Extraordinary community, extraordinary people that I had the chance to meet. And then we lived in London for 6 months.
Wow.
But when we just started burning so much cash in London because housing and because offices and we just thought that we should move back to Eastern Europe. We didn't really want to move to Moldova because there is so much talent in terms of marketing and business. Not so many people are building companies there. But there is Bucharest. Bucharest is the capital. There are a lot of flights connected with so many
Right.
cities around the world. The startup community is growing. There are a lot of investors that are really interested in building their portfolios. And there is so much talent because there are so many companies. For example, the first marketing employee that we got, she is Miruna. She worked at Uber before that. And she's still with us, and she's one of the most extraordinary assets that we have in the company. And she really helped us from the very first day, and she's still doing right now an extraordinary job on everything on the marketing.
Well, that's great. So you got some of the combined experience that she learned out of Uber.
Yeah, exactly. And we got so many. We just have the experience so big, and there are a lot of worldwide stuff that all of us learn, and we are still implementing right now in Planable.
Right. And so where does I have to ask, where does becoming a pilot come into all this?
Yeah, so actually it's not only I actually can't I have a tattoo also on my arm.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and actually I felt like from the very childhood, I always wanted to become a pilot. I still have no idea where this is coming from, but I was always passionate about airplanes and aviation and everything else. I'm still super passionate about this. I wanted to become a pilot before going to college, but it's super expensive to become a pilot. It's around $50K to do this for all of the licenses and so on. And coming from Eastern Europe, you obviously don't have this kind of budget. So I just ended up rolling out with my life. But right now, my dream is just to get some money on the side and then just get this as a hobby. Because in Romania, not so far from my home, there is an airstrip and also there is an aviation club.
Oh,
and I'm
nice.
definitely thinking of joining it in probably 3 or 5 years.
That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting. You just, I told you earlier when you and I were talking that there's a lot of similarities of just things that drive you, your heart for giving back and working with the charities, just going after, being a pilot. Mine was more martial arts and, fighting and that sort of thing, because I grew up as a street fighter and I was driven toward understanding how to control myself and things like that. But it's interesting how we, based on early urges that we have or yearnings that we have, it sort of dictates our roadmap and our decision points of how we arrive at places. Are there some people that you can talk about that from early on that were part of some of these pivots that you took to get here today, where you're at?
Definitely. Yeah. So the first person that I would mention is Xenia. She's my co-founder and our CEO at Planable. I want to mention her because I think that Planable exists right now a lot because of her, because she was constantly pushing our team even in the worst scenarios, even through some very dark times that we had as a team and as a company. Things were not always going well, and a startup, it just goes like this all the time. And she was always like trying to keep us on track and make sure that we still give it one more try, give it one more chance, give it one more month. And we just ended up from 1 month and then for 3 and then for 6 and then 1 year and 2. And right now I'm at my 4th year and I'm still going to do this for another 4 at least. Yeah. So, and there are also 2 other people that I can definitely mention. This is my girlfriend. She helped me a lot over the past 2 years to make sure that I keep on track and make sure that I never disappoint myself and never disappoint the community around, because right now there is so much at stake and there are so many stakeholders that it's super hard to take a step back and quit everything. And then there is also one more incredible man. He's called Jag Singh. He was one of our lead mentors at Techstars London. He was the guy that supported us from the very first day when he met us. He was also one of our customers for a couple of months because he just wanted to support us. He just put his credit card on Planable and just paid for 3 months. It was I don't know. It still feels surreal because we really needed this support. We were back when we were searching for our first customers, and any like little penny, little single dollar already was like tons of boost for our team. And he really helped a lot. And I would say these are the 3 people that helped me a lot during the journey.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny, those of us that maybe have been in business for a while, and I'll go out to the audience on this. Do you remember your first customer? It's like, wow, and so you have such a good memory of that hunger and that desire to have that first customer. And you just never forget going forward that first, you'll notice that sometimes, I don't know if it's customary in Eastern Europe, but some businesses you walk into, like their first dollar is in a frame on the wall. It's like, and now everything's so digital. I don't know if people do that anymore, but you remember that first dollar, that first customer.
We don't have the first dollar, but we have the first screenshot of the first payment. So it's kind of similar to this because we have a screenshot in Stripe. So yeah, and that's definitely a true story because I do remember the same thing for us. Our first customer paid for the yearly plan for a whole year in advance. It was like, wow! We were so super excited. We were not even waiting for someone to pay yearly, not even paying. But when we saw it, and they are still with us actually.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome news. I know it's funny whenever we get excited, and my wife would say, I'd go, oh my gosh, so-and-so is going to sign with us. And she goes, is the money in the bank? Did we get the wire transferred? Did you get the credit card? And did the credit card work? There's all these stages of completion of getting through that process. So it's just, that's a forever thing, where.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
In fact, we had somebody yesterday and they were basically like, do you want my credit card right now? And I was just, yes. So I'm fascinated because I've been to Silicon Valley quite a bit, but you went in a different frame of mind and in I want to say an exploratory adventure is what it sounded like. What was that like? You said it was just mind blowing. So what things there helped you in the business that you have today? That's what I'm most curious about.
I would say the first thing is a lot of not confidence, but patience. I would say that patience, it's very, very important in building any company, because it took us 1.5 years to get our first customers. And then it took us 2 years in total to get to product market fit and understand that people are actually willing to pay for this. We are super excited about this. We are definitely solving a problem, and it's definitely something that people need. I mean, it took us 2 years, and believe me, I was thinking to quit in those 2 years a lot of times, because obviously when things are not working, you're not trying to do this, but subconsciously your mind just goes in, it's not working, you should definitely start thinking about doing something else, and so on. But again, as I said, all of our co-founders were really like super tight to each other. We were always supporting each other. We were always trying to get things moving and make sure that we try one more time, give it one more chance, and so on. And then I would say the second thing that helped us a lot is speaking with lots and lots of people, constantly speaking about our idea, constantly speaking about Planable and the way it works, constantly asking for feedback, connecting with people, and try to connect with as many people as you can, and always try to follow up, build your own network, ask for any interest on other people, because building a network helped us a lot to get into Techstars, because lots of people, when we just got into Techstars, lots of people were sending emails to the managing director and recommending us, because they knew that we are definitely a great team. We are super young, we are super passionate, and we know what we are doing, and we definitely have to be part of it. And then the third thing that I would say is the most important, it's being passionate about what you are building. Because lots of people will start building a company for the sake of money, or just for the sake of an opportunity, or something that we saw a gap in the market that we want to fill. But it's totally different when there is someone with a lot, and when I'm saying a lot, like I want to emphasize it, 10x, passion of what we are building and trying to solve a problem that we actually felt. And that's exactly our case, because all of us worked in digital agencies before. We personally struggled with the issue that we are solving right now. All of us felt the same need to build something that we are building right now. And all of us were struggling and having issues with this workflow and processes that we are actually solving 3 years after that.
Yeah, so let's get into that a little bit. So tell us a little bit about, sort of that inherent problem that you saw in the world from the digital agency perspective, and then building out, and then how does Planable actually solve that today?
Yeah, so as I was saying, all of us worked in digital agencies before starting Planable, and we personally struggled with the issue of creating content for our clients in Microsoft Excel documents or spreadsheets. And I mean, all of us, any marketer worked in Excel documents to create the content. It's nothing new. But we were working with some of the big clients, and it was super frustrating for us that in 2017 or 15, we are creating some of the most innovative campaigns ever in the world. And then we are still working in a tool that was built in the 80s.
Excel.
Like, what the hell? Seriously. So it was the first part. And then it was super frustrating, because we were sending this Microsoft Excel documents to our clients to wait for feedback. Sometimes we were getting the feedback back in a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. That was okay. But sometimes it was taking them a couple of days or even weeks, because they forgot about this email.
It was buried in their inbox, right?
Exactly, yeah, because it's buried in their inbox. And then we just hated it, because the campaigns were delayed. We had to create content again, and then there was everything on fire. And we didn't have only one client. We had like 10 clients at the same time, and the issue was with all of this, especially that we are communicating not only on emails, but also Skype, also phone calls, also like WhatsApp, Messenger, and everything else. And all of this communication is scattered across so many tools, so many platforms, so much stakeholders that it gets a mess. Like it's really, we are so surprised how we didn't get insane on this.
And then, especially because the client's also passing content around.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Right. And then we just started looking for different solutions. We tried Hootsuite, we tried Buffer, we tried Sprout Social. We tried so many platforms, and none of them did really work for us, because we were looking for a platform that we could exchange this feedback and ideas with the client. And then we just thought that, okay, let's just build something for us. And we started building this platform for us to solve our own problem. And then we quickly understood that lots of agencies were starting to finding out about this. And then they were saying that, hey, actually, can you share this with me? Can
we use it too?
Exactly. Yeah. And then we were like, wait a sec. I mean, we are on something. We are onto something. And we just started building Planable, and then testing first mock-ups and testing first prototypes and iterations of it. And everyone from the very first day when they saw how Planable worked, we were like, yes, that's it. I want to do this. And the Planable, what it is today, it's a content collaboration platform for agencies, freelancers, and marketing teams. So what sets us apart from any other social media tool is the fact that Planable helps you see how the content would look like before publishing any. So basically, we duplicated all the types of content like GIFs, images, URL, carousel posts, and so on. We duplicated them for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then we are helping you preview how the content looks like, exchange feedback and ideas exactly like you would do that in Google Docs, and then ask for approval in order to make sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone is happy with the content. And then everyone can see the same thing and have the access to the same information. They can simply just schedule the content to social media directly. And we also recently introduced not only the social media posts, but we also introduced Instagram stories, which is super exciting because now it allows you to see how the Instagram story would look like before publishing any. And you can also
create the entire story, the entire sequence.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can create all of your sequence, and you can also create the stories directly in Planable. We built a simple composer window. You can add text, you can add images, you can add videos. And we also hope to do lots of other stuff in the future.
Wow. And how about the reporting? Have you guys gotten into the analytics and the reporting side of it? Because I think that's still a challenge today, based on, data reliability, timing, updates, all that.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a really great question. But frankly, we are not really interested into analytics, just because we think that Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and everyone else is doing a really great job. I don't even think that you need to use any tools for analytics. I think that especially Facebook, it provides all the data that you need in the Excel that you can simply download. But we also think that the analytics space is super crowded and it's not the value that we can innovate with.
Right.
Because we started from the very premise that we want everyone to be on the same page. We want teams to be more efficient by exchanging feedbacks and ideas on the social media content.
Right.
And
so focus on the quality of and feedback of the content and the collaborative nature of the content.
Exactly. Yes. And because lots of teams are wasting so much time just on exchanging information instead of focusing on creative content. Teams are and if teams are not collaborating on the content, it can cause many PR crises for them.
Oh yeah.
For example, just imagine a couple of cases. So, for example, the Dove ads. There were a couple of Dove ads with the woman that takes off her shirt and then she becomes from black to a white woman.
Right.
And then this post was posted on Facebook. It was 3 or 4 years ago. And imagine that it went only to the hands of a couple of people that were involved in the process. But imagine what could happen if the DAF would work in Planable and then invited all the stakeholders from all of the offices to just look at the post, just not even leave a comment, but just look at the post and give some feedback or give some idea. Because if everyone from different industries and from different departments, including like HR, different directors, brand managers, marketing managers, social media, and so on, could get involved into the same space and see the same content, everyone would be on the same page and no misunderstandings and PR crisis like this would happen.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. In your recent book, Marketing Teams of the Future, it feels like you sort of brought the collaborative nature of the future to us, and are starting to help us eliminate these tools from the 80s, which I'm from the 80s, so there you have it. I was there when they were created, and it wasn't pretty back then either. And so, how do you see marketing teams working differently, today from what they have been, and then where do you see them changing or evolving to?
Definitely, that's a great question. So I made more than 10 interviews with people from different industries and different types of companies and so on. And then I found out that lots of people were working totally different. I mean, obviously totally different from what we had right now. And 30 years and 20 years ago, and even in the beginning of 2000s, lots of people that were working in both brands and agencies are saying that the main thing that is different is the amount of meetings, because people were wasting a lot of time in the meetings. I believe that we still do that, but just meetings change from physical meetings to virtual meetings and also to Slack and emails and so on. And this was the first part. And then the second part was like, because a lot of stuff was physical, a lot of stuff was on the place. Even pitches to the client did not happen on email or on a phone call. It was happened directly into the office of the people. People were like trying to always connect face to face because I guess we just didn't have the other chances, and it was like the only way to make something happen. And then the third thing that changed a lot is that people were building things manually, like literally with their hands. People were like painting all the ads and creating the websites, first of all, with their hands instead of just going into the computer and starting coding this and so on. So the things moved a lot into many phases. And we actually analyzed the industry, and we think that there are a couple of phases of the marketing industry in the past 40 years. So the first one, it was the generation 0, when there was only WordStar and Lotus. It was like the first machines that you were helping.
I'm impressed you found that. I thought we buried that well.
Yeah, that's a lot of. I speak a lot about this in the book, and I highly recommend if anyone is interested in finding out more about the marketing past. Yeah, it's super exciting of what happened like in so little time. Because after WordStar, which is just like the first computers, it came the second generation of WYSIWYG, is right. What you see is what you get. And the first generation, it came with Adobe, with PowerPoint, with Microsoft Word, and so on, that helped you like see how the page would look like, and like trying to be all of this drag and drop and so on. And then there comes the third generation. It was what you see is what you get, like the WYSIWYG, but with a cloud. So we see everything moving to the cloud. It was the beginning of 2000s. We see Gmail, we see Salesforce, we see Canva, WordPress, Wix, Adobe Creative Cloud, and many more. And then there comes the fourth generation. This is the generation that enables teams to work collaboratively. This is, for example, Slack. Slack I believe, is the best example because they grew up so fast, especially because there was a huge need for teams to collaborate easily.
Right.
Also, Asana, Envision App, Pipedrive, and many more. And then we believe that right now there is happening the fifth generation of not only collaborative platforms, but agile platforms that are helping you to work agile with any member of your team. Because you could, a couple of years ago, you could create your social media campaign for the next month, or even 6 weeks, 6 months in advance. But and you can't do this right now. I mean, you technically can, but we wouldn't recommend this because the world is changing right now so fast that you can quickly become irrelevant in just 3 weeks if you do not keep up the pace with everything what's happening in social media.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And if you don't publish the right type of content, if you don't do the right type of thing, if you do not reflect everything what's happening around.
Well, you heard us talking earlier about the video changing. It was all of a sudden go horizontal. Now let's go back vertical. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the things are moving so fast, and you are only winning. I believe that you are only winning if you are trying the latest things. And exactly like you guys said, that live right now is generating the most views on social media. I'm super sad that I don't have the access to LinkedIn Video Live because I'm still in Eastern Europe and we don't get the earliest access to this. But if I could do this, I would probably just live stream at least once a week for all of my audience to, I don't know, share lots of stuff that we are building, even probably share how our office looks like, and just make this as a promotional video for the new job positions that we're opening next week.
Right.
So, I mean, tons and tons of stuff that you can do, but people, and this is exactly why we built Planable, to help teams be more agile, move fast, iterate fast, get feedback, constantly ask for feedback, and constantly implement all of this fast.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you think teams now, we're in this 5th generation of really moving into being more collaborative. And what I liked about Slack and some of the other platforms is, we still have a world that's divided between Android and Apple, and we've got PCs and Macs out there. And now, I think tools like Slack and some of the other ones made it so it doesn't matter what you have. We just want to work together.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that Slack and all the other platforms similar to this, they are enabling teams to work from anywhere at any point. Yeah. And it's available at any platforms. This is why, for example, at Planable, we try to focus on the mobile app from as soon as we can. Because all the social media teams are working from mobile. We are trying to create new content. We are posting something from mobile. We are just taking the picture from an event and we want to publish this on the Facebook pages that we are managing. And this is why we created the mobile app as well, to just make sure that teams can iterate fast and they can have the overview. And also, especially for the clients that are people that usually just don't have the time for social media, or like big executive people, they just don't even look at social media. And this is why it's especially easy to use just a mobile phone app to just look at this, look at the content, click a couple of approve buttons, and then leave a comment, and that's it. And you just move on.
Yeah. So besides Slack and some of the other ones that you mentioned, are there other, and Planable, of course, are there other tools that you find that are useful as part of, being in the digital marketing space?
Definitely. I actually have a list that I also presented in the book, and I can definitely present here as well. So the second one was Envision App. I would highly suggest Envision App for any prototyping or anything that you are working on the content, on images. And then there is also Frame.io. It's like Planable but for video. Frame.io is helping you a lot to create video content and also like collaborate on all the bits and pieces of a video. There is also ConvertKit. I really love this platform because it enables email marketing tools to grow your blog and businesses.
It's called ConvertKit.
ConvertKit. Yeah, I can. Let me just leave. I can leave the where I can send you this on email, where I can add.
Yeah, just send it to Jackson, and we'll put it in the show notes, so that'll work out good.
Definitely, yeah. So I was saying then again, Slack. There is also Front App. It's a way to collaborate on email support. Super awesome platform. Also, I am following the founder, Mathilde. She's an amazing founder. There is also Zoom. I think that Zoom is doing an extraordinary, incredible job with everything that they innovated, because I just couldn't believe that it's different from any other platforms. But then I just tried Zoom one day I saw the image and video quality so good that we just switched all of the platforms and all of the people to Zoom that we are working
right.
And there's also Airtable.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
We love Airtable. Yeah, that's great.
We call it spreadsheets, but on steroids. Yeah, and then there is Dropbox or Google Drive, depending on what you use for assets management.
Right. So are you Apple or Android person?
I'm Apple. I switched to Apple in July 2017. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going back because I just love Apple and everything that we do. Obviously, I'm not using Sonixphere products. This is just my computer and my phone.
Right.
But what I love about this platform is that we are constantly connected to each other, and I can simply interact with both of the devices like one single thing.
Right. Cool stuff. Well, Vlad, this has been great, in terms of getting to know you better, getting to understand your journey and your story to influence, and really taking it to that next level. We've had a lot of people in the variety of audiences that we have here chime in and ask some questions. And so, as we think about this, it was funny that a lot of people chimed in and said, first of all, they never understood the history, that you went through, which was super cool, well defined. A lot of people said that they had no idea about half the platforms that you talked about, which I think is the great mystery today. It used to be, it's like, you mentioned Lotus, I think even Lotus Notes or whatever, but it's like, WordStar, and people would be like, oh, did you get the latest software that does this? And it was like, it was like one word processor and then one spreadsheet. And then all of a sudden there was two, then there was three. And today there's like, holy smokes, there's 30 options. It's even mind-blowing to me, because I used to be in the CRM space, how many CRM programs are still coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like how can there be another solution for that?
Yeah, especially that now the marketing software solutions quadrupled in the number of tools each year since 2010. So now, like, literally imagine that Martech Advisor and Martech Zone just calculated what's happening in the marketing industry. And in 2011, there were 150 marketing tools for like almost everything the marketer would never imagine having it.
Right.
Don Draper would not even think about the platforms that we are working in right now. And then today, by their estimative calculations, there are more than 7,000 platforms for marketers for almost any single thing that you want. And I'm sure that this is just the beginning of the industry.
Well, and we're in the influencer marketing and influencer development space, and so in that space alone, we're now tracking over 750 influencer platforms that have just popped up over the last 6 months. It's like, wow.
It's hard. This is why I love the marketing industry, because it's hard to keep track of everything. The things are moving and changing so fast, especially with so many things, because Facebook is introducing one thing, and then tomorrow Instagram is coming up with another thing, and then there is Twitter, there is TikTok, and then there are so many platforms. This is why on the Planable blog we are launching each month marketing industry news article, just to sum up all of the news and what's happening around the marketing industry each month.
Right.
And it's super helpful for us as the marketing guys in the team, because at least we it's our one chance to keep up with the industry and know what's happening in there.
Yeah, excellent. And it's interesting. So real quick, I'd like you to give just the nugget that you and I talked about before the show when I asked you, what's your favorite social media? If you could just tell us the why in there, I thought that was genius about how you compared LinkedIn to Twitter, et cetera. So tell us what's your favorite social media and why?
Definitely. Yeah. So I was saying that my favorite social media is Twitter right now, because Twitter is a place that people are trying to connect in a different way from any other social media. People are always trying to support each other. I follow so many entrepreneurs like that are starting their companies, and when I see tweets a month after, 3 months after, 6 months after, with their updates that, hey, I got my first customer, hey, I got my fifth customer, hey, I got, because of this guy, I got my 10th customer. And it's so super exciting to see people like growing personally, professionally, and as a company. And I also follow so many entrepreneurs that are sharing their wisdom and everything else. And what sets Twitter apart from LinkedIn, which is a platform that I loved and enjoyed, and I was so obsessed with LinkedIn last year. But the problem that I have with LinkedIn right now is the fact that it got transformed into so much fluff. And I'm not sure that even fluff is the right word, because so many people are just trying to share stories with nothing true and nothing in essence. But when there is Twitter, when people have a limited space to speak and to talk, there are only 280 characters, and people get to the point directly, like immediately. And all the time that I go on Twitter, there is always something useful, something nice, something interesting, something that I can share with my audience, something that I can share with a friend or with my company or with the people that I'm working with, or even with my customers. And it's super exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing with that. And I always love different viewpoints of the why and how of different social, for sure. So folks, we want you to check out planable.io. Let's bring Jackson and Cait back. And then those of you in the audience, I'd like you to chime in real quick and tell us what you got out of today's session, like your takeaway for yourself. So Cait, why don't you jump in, since we talked a lot about your world, right? So what did you think about today's episode?
Well, I love his story. Well, I love his journey, and I love everything he's been through and how he's gotten to where he is today. But the really interesting thing for me that I know I have said multiple times is when he was talking about the Dove campaign. And I know, we're technically, we consider ourselves an agency, even though we're above it. But we deal with clients a lot of times who come back and they don't even talk to me until they're upset about something. Something on social media went out and they never approved it, but they didn't respond to any of the emails that I had sent them. So I love the idea of something that's collaborative, because I've worked in this environment, and then I've also worked in an environment where we did the majority of the marketing in-house and didn't use an agency. And it's exactly what you said. We were always trying to message stakeholders to see what they thought of different things and trying to get ahead of having a PR crisis. And so I think you're right on the money. If people had more of an invested stake in the content going out and they were able to collaborate on a tool like Planable, not only would it make sure everybody was on the same page, but it would make sure you're not putting out as many fires as you are.
Yeah, for sure. And Vlad, does it ping the client when they're not responding in a timely manner based on their commitment to respond?
They are definitely receiving all the types of notifications. They will receive notifications on mobile, on email. So if you are trying to get into your client, he will definitely get at least angry because of all of this notification. And he or she will definitely try to respond to at least one message that you are sending. And also, one thing that we've implemented from the very beginning was an activity log. So in Planable, you are also able to see any activity on any post and even previous versions of the post. So for example, if teams changed and iterated on feedback a couple of times, we can simply just restore the previous versions of the post, because the client might say, hey, actually, do you remember that text that you added last week? Let's get this back. And you can simply do this in Planable. You don't even have to do anything wrong.
Can you set electrical pulses so it shocks them or something?
This is something that we can see if maybe iPhones and Android have this into the device implemented. This is definitely something that we can add for a couple of customers.
Yeah, right. Jackson,
I'm like sitting here going, this is unreal. Like, this isn't a thing that actually exists, right? Because like you're explaining stuff that like we're like, we don't know how to fix this problem. And then you came on the show and you're like, I have the answer to all of your problems.
Well, not all of them, but I hopefully.
Well, but
like
the biggest
that,
ones that are most pressing, let's be honest. So while you guys were talking, I was like, okay, planable.io. And then I was like clicking around, looking at like features, pricing. And I love your website. It says costs less than a PR crisis.
Because
It does cost less than a PR crisis. So that's awesome. And then you guys are used by like Wild Turkey, Wendy's. These are all my favorite places. Like, so yeah, no, it's just awesome that you can collect like what you said, we're in a place right now where we need the use for collaborative, workspaces where you can collaborate along, but no one, I've heard people talk about this at summits and things like that. But I've never spoken to one of the founders, so that was really cool. And I think that, this is one of the best ways. I was watching some demos in the background, and I think it is, one of the best ways for a collaborative workspace if you're working in content. So that is really cool
Nice.
Thank you. Really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah. And we have a lot of our audience who chimed in as well. So we'll make sure that they get all the links. And then, so remember the mandate before we announce, we always have a couple of winners, Vlad, that we give away some Starbucks gift cards. You have Starbucks there, right?
Yeah, we have it. Not so far from my office, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So Starbucks is everywhere. It's like McDonald's.
Yeah.
They figured out how to get around the planet. But remember, what we ask each and every one of our listeners and audience members is please share what you learned today, whether it was part of Vlad's inspirational story and his journey and the way that he pivoted and started up his organization. And for me, how you stuck with it, there was that point where you're like, you get into the question of, should I keep doing this? Is this what I should be doing? Should I go do something else? And just commend you for sticking with it. That was my biggest takeaway. And so I want to make sure that you share that with people that you care about. Because you're all influencers and thought leaders out there. We want to make sure that you share Vlad's story, share his hard work out there in the world. And then in Jackson, I think we're ready for our two winners. Who's our two winners today?
Yeah, so today in the Zoom platform, we have Robin Coles.
Oh, Robin.
And then in the Facebook Live, we have Marilee Jacoby Popovich. So,
there we go. All right. So then hopefully you have a Starbucks. Now, the two of you have a special assignment that when you are with the person face to face, having that Java or tea of your choice at Starbucks, is to really share and have a collaborative conversation together about what you learned from Vlad and his company and his wisdom that he shared with us today. At a little more in depth. So maybe take out your phones when you're together and say, oh my gosh, I saw this great tool, or this is Vlad's journey. I just want to share it with you. So make sure that you all do that. You're all thought leaders in our world, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And Vlad, we really just appreciate you for coming on, and thanks for staying up. Well, it's not too late there, right?
No, it's not too late. I was happy that we didn't schedule the podcast for like 2 a.m. on my time.
We do a lot of overseas training, and I feel bad when they make it just one time for everybody, because I know that some people stay up way too late. But thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being part of the Social Jack team, and we'll definitely keep tuned in for updates, and we'll keep our audience tuned in on your progress too. So thank you so much again from all of us here. And we'll see everybody online in the next show. So take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Influence Factory podcast. We welcome feedback and suggestions. You can provide these by visiting our website at www.myinfluencefactory.com. And if you are interested in Social Jack's 90 Days to Influence program, you can simply go to 90daystobusinessinfluence.com and simply ask for the next steps. While our program airs regularly on Zoom webcasts and Facebook Live on Wednesdays at noon Central, we invite you to download episodes on your favorite channel: YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and who knows where else in the future. We will also provide occasional on-location live streams with special guests that we will announce in our community Facebook group, Business Influencer Alliance, as well as on all Social Jack channels. Our mission is to help you build your digital business influence with this podcast, as well as inspire, educate, and entertain those who are hungry to collaborate in a cool place with cool business professionals just like you.